Dave here. We're in the New to You Speakers Northern Workshop, and we have what is probably the #1 speaker repair activity today. Normally, there's maintenance involved in speakers, replacing foam surrounds. That's probably the thing I do more than anything else. But as far as true repair, this is probably #1. Paper cone has had a finger put through it. In this case, the customer was moving. The movers weren't as careful as they need to be, and this is the result. So let's take a look at what we have here, and we'll go through the process, and it's fairly straightforward. You can do it. Here it is. You can see daylight through there. It's quite a big puncture. Runs from down here, goes here, then there's a piece of flap of the paper that's on the underside from right here, goes all the way up, cuts a little bit into the foam surround right here, so that will be the trickiest area. What we want to do is really make this all rigid again. We have access to the back side, of course. That's important, because we want to make sure there's our gap. All the paper is there, so there's nothing missing. We just need to close this gap up and make it one piece again. If there was paper missing, or if it needed some extra support, we would do I guess for lack of a better term, a decoupage type repair. But in this case, I don't think we're going to need to do that. Ingredients are simple, and by the way, there's plenty of other videos on YouTube on how to do this. I just didn't have one on my channel, and I realized that would be a nice addition to include. So all we need is a little paintbrush, container. I'm using Aileen's Turbo Tacky. You can use standard PVA, yellow glue, or white glue. Actually, it's better to use the white. It'll like an Elmer's, it'll dry clear, but I prefer to use the Aileen. So we're going to mix that 1-to-1 with water, however, and make it a little thinner consistency so we get good penetration down into the fibers. We'll do the front side and the back side, and when it dries clear, you'll still be able to see the repair, but we'll have brought everything up flush. And we have this one little pucker right here in the surround. We'll have to work on that and make sure we bring that back down and keep that straight. This driver is from an EPI 120C. EPI makes very good drivers. You can actually there is a website, and a guy that used to work there, his name is Hugh. He has access to a lot of new old stock parts and a lot of the tools from when EPI speakers were being made. He can rebuild an entire EPI speaker with essentially original parts, and that's an option. He charges I think somewhere between $80 and $100 to do that, plus your shipping. And this repair you can probably do yourself with what you have around the house, which makes it very nice. So let's go. We've mixed up our glue to a milky consistency. This is going to take longer to dry. Normally the Aileen's dries in 45 minutes or so with a thin coat. Adding the water, I believe it will lengthen the dry time a bit. So we're just going to essentially paint this on. Try to make sure you guys can see this okay. And we want to get underneath as well. We may have to flip over to do a full counting here. The working time is long enough that you can give this a couple minutes. You really don't really want to go hog wild because we still want it to look somewhat presentable, and you don't want to create any built up rigid areas. If we get too much glue somewhere, we're going to actually go in and wipe it off. This little section here is going to be one of the trickier spots. So we may have to do a little extra attention. See if you can get in a better position for you to see here. No, it's not too easy. Let me just keep going. And we may fast forward this, so. All right. What we'll do now is we've essentially saturated the areas that are damaged. So there's a little paper that is now loose, and we're going to pull that off. But we've got our patched, to be patched area fairly well saturated at this point. Let's switch around and go to the underside. So I'm just, you can't see this, I'm sorry, but I'm just saturating and working more of that glue into the seam that has to be brought together. So let me grab some tape and then we'll pull it together. Start on the front. This is a case where less is more. If you put too much glue on, that's not really a good thing. All right, and I'm pushing on the back side with my finger, and that'll help to get good contact between the areas that I have patched. Keep those pressed together. Now we've got to work on this area where the paper cone is attached to the foam surround. We want to keep that straight, and the tape will actually do that. And you might say, well, isn't the tape going to stick to the glued patched area? And the answer is no, it will pull away. Let's come around the back side here. I'm still seeing a little air, still seeing a little light. Let's see there, you can probably see that one little spot there. So we're gonna put a little tape across that as well. This, you're not going to be able to see this, so let me get in here and do it, and then we'll be done. Now we're going to do a couple pieces going across. I guess I would say it's kind of like, you know, the tape is like a suture holding the skin back together in its original position. And I see one spot way up in the top that I missed. I'm going to go up in there and get it. There we go. In some ways, the extra water helps I guess, what would you call it? Reform the paper, renew the paper. Uh, you know, turns it back into a pulp and then allows it to seal better. All right, let's see if we can get you a shot of what we've done in there. So got ended up with 4 pieces of tape as sutures on the back side. We've got the 3 in the front. There is a little rub area right here. You can see it looks like maybe it's a little dirty. Let me point it out. But that's probably where the finger kind of dragged across that prior to, maybe they had gloves on, something coarse and rough, dragged across there prior to creating enough pressure to poke through. So now I'm just gonna press this all along the seam. And we're gonna check that every few minutes. And there's really nothing I can do about this one section here. It's not damaged enough to worry about. It's still solid. I'm pushing on the backside to see if I get any deflection in the cone, and I don't. So they rubbed a little of this. You know, there's a little pebble texture to the surface, and it's kind of been abraded away, but it's still okay. So we're going to come back every 5 minutes or so and make sure that everything is sandwiched nicely, and the glue will start to, it'll take a little longer to dry with this tape over the top, plus the extra water that we put in there. So, and once it's held together, then we may actually pull the tape off prior to full drying, and that'll allow it to dry a little faster. All right, I pulled our tape suture off the cone. It's still wet, but it's drying, and I wanted to do that in order to ensure if there were any loose fibers that we had a chance to kind of push them and pack them back down, so they'll make the repair look a little simpler. So that, you know, it's discolored. Some of that's the water and the glue. We'll let that keep drying, and we'll come back when it's done and show you the final. All right, we are done, and it'll probably dry a little bit more on this side. Get a little better close up there so you can see the areas where it's darkest. That's where, you know, the openings were the widest. We pulled it all together. See if we can get you a view on the back side. Yeah, kind of. It's closed up now fairly well. Still, you know, there's a little discoloration in there, but no, it won't win a beauty contest, but you also won't be able to hear it now. So, and this speaker is the type where you typically would keep the grills on. So we're ready to go. Get it back to the customer, and he can enjoy them again. I hope you enjoyed this video, learned a little something, and please like and subscribe to New to You Speakers. Thanks a lot. Bye.